Or are we live now? Okay. Yeah, just let me know when we're good. Excuse me. And so are we using this website that I showed you? Are we using that? So what are we gonna do? Are you gonna, when we come in, you're just gonna say a few words about the movie and then we'll get right into it? Have you seen Murnau's Faust? I don't want to see it. I didn't know that he did an adaptation of Faust until a few years ago. Dude, Murnau and all the people who made Nosferatu, they really believed in this shit. They were really like dead ass supporting the cult. Of course, is the name of the one of the antagonists. Gustav von Weigenheim. German, I'm pronouncing. I gotta practice my German pronunciation. George Schlag. Ruth Landshoff. Gustav Fuchs. Alright.
All right, homie, we are live.
What up?
How you doing, Mr. MutantXp?
How's it going, Nero? Thanks for having me tonight.
Not a problem. It was your idea.
Yeah, I guess, but you executed it.
I'm trying my best. All right, so we're going to be watching Nosferatu tonight on your requests.
Yes, Nosferatu. When I think about like German early 20th century, expressionism, especially in film, like there's really two figures, right? That's down on my mind.
Mm-hmm.
That's Lang, and that's Murnau.
Yeah, Fritz Lang and F.W. Murnau.
And when I look back on like their body of work and their films, they both dealt with very, I guess, what we would call sobering themes. You know, they weren't really into making cheery movies.
Oh, not at all.
I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that, you know, I think a lot of that has to do with the environment and the time and history that they made these films. But it's interesting, right? Because Lang was all about kind of, you know, sort of, he was someone that was always trying to push kind of like the technological side of filmmaking, right?
Yeah.
And Murnau was more of I guess, you know, kind of, how would I describe him? Like, he was more of someone who was more focused in, you know, sort of mood and, you know, and kind of shadows and light and stuff and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
You know, Murnau made the horror movies. He was widely considered a fan of the occult.
Yeah.
While Lang made the sci-fi movies.
Yeah.
And so,
well,
Lang interesting to think about.
Lang is infamous for Metropolis, you know, and that's amazing stuff. And Murnau was infamous for Nosferatu. And Murnau was like, he was the stereotypical like German director. Like, he had the riding crop, he had the riding pants, like, you know, the safari pants and the bucket hat. Like, that was like the thing. He talked about. It was crazy. Like, I watched interviews with actors from I think Fay Ray from King Kong. What was it? She was saying it's like he would complain about actors eating for lunch. It's like, why do they eat? I don't eat. We're wasting time. We got to do this.
Yes, he was definitely.
He was a very taskmaster is what they called him. So.
Yes, he was very passionate about his art. But yeah, I'm pretty stoked to watch the movie. I haven't watched the movie in a few years.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. And then what was we were talking about how it's there's a lot of parallels today for modern times, because doing research on the movies, like, this was filmed was it after World War One, and like right after World War One, and then as like a few months after the movie came out, the Spanish flu was like a thing. And it was humongous around like the world. It's like the Spanish flu devastated populations. It was crazy, and so it just seems so fitting that it's like it's modern night times, and the movie's almost 100 years old. Its only predecessor, like for German expressionists, is going to be the Cabinet of Dr. Caligari, which is 100 years old, and so it's pretty crazy how. Like, can you believe that movies are 100 years old at this point?
Yeah,
it's crazy.
I think it's I think it's really interesting to keep in mind, like you were saying, Nero, the backdrop in which this movie was made and released. Like you were saying before, you know, this is obviously post World War I, Weimar Republic, and like you were saying about the Spanish flu. You know, the Spanish flu, I believe, was between 1918 to 1920, and so the memory of the Spanish flu obviously is still fresh in everyone's mind. And, you know, obviously there are parallels to today, since we are dealing with our own pandemic, our own generation Spanish flu.
Yeah. And
so, you know, I've read articles that have argued that, you know, without the Spanish flu, there might be a horror genre.
Yeah, that's a very true statement.
Because Nosferatu was clearly heavily influenced by, obviously, you know, some of the many anxieties that were circulating in post World War Germany.
Oh, for sure.
World War I Germany.
And you can see a difference in both European cinema and American cinema at the time in terms of horror films, because, you know, German and European movies tend to deal with atmosphere and dread, while American films dealt with like disfigurement and things of that nature, because a lot of World War I veterans came home and they had no limbs. They had their faces blown off. They had no access to alcohol and to kind of like dull their pain or just like give them something to do. They couldn't work. They were just down and out. And that was and because of advances in technology at that point, these people were allowed to live. They were able to live with, you know, missing limbs and missing vital organs and things like that. And it was a very new thing, you know, because back before then, if you got hurt in the war, you were pretty much dead, because you die of infection and that was it. Your time of service was done. But because of advances in technology, you now have like people maimed walking around, and at that time especially, it was it was unbelievable to people. It's like, how can that person live like this? And they should have, the mentality of people back then was like they should never have come back, which is kind of a very, very sad kind of reality that people lived with back then, And again, it's like American cinema dealt with disfigurement. You look at a lot of like the Lon Chaney films. He always played a character that had some kind of disfigurement when it came from like Phantom of the Opera or The Hunchback of Notre Dame or the Criminal Code and all these movies he did where he had like either a missing arm or facial disfigurement and things like that. And then again, you have German silent expressionist films, which are like, dread and shadows and odd shapes and just like nightmares and things like that going on, which is pretty crazy stuff, but it's really, really cool.
So I think now might be a good time to get this movie rolling.
Yeah.
Obviously, we'll touch on a lot of these things as the movie progresses.
Oh, for sure.
And so I'm pretty psyched to watch Nosferatu for the first time in a few years, and so I hope you're psyched too, Nero.
I am very much so. You gonna queue up?
All right. So I am at 0-0.
I am at 0-0 as well.
So we're gonna play at 3 on 3 or after 3
on 3.
Okay. So we're gonna play in 1, 2, 3. So right off the bat, Nero, notice that the subtitle for Nosferatu is A Symphony of Horror, which is super kind of interesting because obviously this is a silent film, right?
Yeah.
And so it begs the question, what kind of symphony is Murnau talking about? And so, this is Murnau sort of talking about a symphony, not so much of, of the auditory kind, but like you were talking about with German Expressionism, sort of a symphony of images and sort of poetic motifs and stuff.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting to call it the Symphony of Horror when it's a silent film.
And it's also interesting because like the original score to the film is gone. It's lost. These new versions or re-releases all have different scores ranging from like electronica to jazz. I've heard a jazz version, which is hilarious.
I have heard electronica versions.
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan.
Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah, like
putting electronica music on Nosferatu is like, I don't know, I just couldn't help but think like I was watching like a 9 Inch Nails video or something.
I've seen the 9 Inch Nails version where someone's put like they've remixed the Fragile and put it in the background, which is pretty funny. They've done the same thing to Night of the Living Dead. A lot of re-ups of like different soundtracks and things.
So since you brought it up, Nero, the reason why there is no existing original score, well, I mean, there is no score because it's a silent film, right? Remember back when they used to screen silent movies, you would have an orchestra.
Yeah, performed in front of the audience.
But the reason why so many few prints of this movie exists, since you brought it up, Nero, is because the wife of Bram Stoker sued shortly after the release of this movie, Murnau and his film company.
Yep.
And they lost, I guess, the suit, and all of the prints were ordered to be destroyed, but obviously a few of them.
They had changed just enough to not be. They wouldn't have to pay her out or anything. The Stoker estate. So when she found out that she's never going to make any money off of it, she's like, I want that thing gone. Yeah. And so yeah, she was able to convince the courts that there was enough infringement to where she can, go ahead and just destroy the prints. And they were destroyed. A ton of them that were destroyed. But somehow a few of them survived and they slipped over to the States. And, Todd Browning got a hold of a couple copies. A lot of Hollywood directors got a hold of a lot of copies. And James Whale, I think, even brought a copy with him when he went to Hollywood before he did Frankenstein. And they were showing this stuff to American execs, and that was like, if you watch early Universal horror films, they are just straight up German expressionist films. Like Frankenstein is straight up German expressionism. Like it's ripped from they ripped the pages out of that book and just like, we're gonna design it like this.
You know, that wallpaper looks horrible in black and white. I can't imagine what it looks like in color. Like, it probably looks worse.
It's so crazy because when they upscale these films, which is crazy enough that they upscaled these movies, which is great, right? But, like, you know, these are people. These are, like, normal people. And you can just, like, see, like, you know, you probably could meet a person like this in real life. And it's crazy to think that these people lived 100+ years ago. And, like seeing them move around and reactions that are like very commonplace, you know, is really kind of like mind bending to me, which is pretty cool.
Nobody can escape his destiny.
Well, this is a much better version because these title cards are a lot better than the version I had before. The only reason I found the other version was because it was 720p and it had a very different score. But I was like looking at it. Oh, little bit of trivia here, which is kind of cool, and it's coming up in just a few seconds. I'll let you know. Alright, so the boss man here is like, hey buddy, I need you to do something for me. And if you look very closely, the guy in the background with the hat, oh, it's cut from this version. Damn. So the guy in the background that you saw dipping his hat, they cut a few seconds and he, like, there's the moment where he calls for his attention. They both look that direction. That's Max Shrek without makeup. He's literally that character underneath the hat. So they picked Max Shrek. Murnau picked Max Shrek because he's kind of ugly. And if you really look at the movie, the only prosthetics in the movie are a nose piece and earpieces, and everything else is Max. And it's crazy that they found him just kind of hanging out in Germany with a name which is Max Shrek, which Shrek in German is the word for terror. I found that out. I'm like, he just had that as a last name. I was like, what the hell? It's so creepy.
I told myself I wouldn't forget this, but Murnau isn't even Murnau's real last name.
Yeah.
His last name was something goofy sounding, and then he changed it because he didn't like it.
Well, that's very common when it comes to this kind of stuff. There's a lot of name changes and pseudonyms and aliases that flew around in the early days.
This guy's unibrow is top tier.
Top tier. Look at that stuff. I wonder if there was actually a script. Like they have to. They're talking to themselves, right? There's no audio recording of them, obviously. But I wonder if there's like an actual written script of what they were saying to each other while they were acting. Like the sheet music's gone. Like the original score that they gave to audiences for the orchestra to perform, that's missing. They have no clue what happened to that.
No, I'm pretty sure real estate was a much more honorable business back then. As someone living in New York, I can't help but point out the irony of
dude,
a
man,
real estate agent trying to sell a house to a blood-sucking vampire.
Like, I've heard horror stories of New York, like looking for apartments and places to live. From my friend Deborah, who was telling me, is like, you literally look at the obituaries to find an apartment to rent. I'm like, Jesus Christ. I don't think I would survive there, mutant. Not at all.
That's an interesting bag there.
No, right? Very classic wardrobes. It's pretty cool. So, like, I think the 2 horror films that predate this are Cabinet of Dr. Caligari and the Thomas Edison version of Frankenstein, which is kind of cool. It's a one-reeler, though. So it's only like 12 minutes or 13 minutes, I believe.
It's a pretty sick-looking house, though.
Oh, fuck yeah. Dude, it's Germany in the 20s. Like, there's like all kinds of great like architecture and design going on. Too bad it would be bombed to shit like 10 years later, but
Alright, so this must be his ride here.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to go to the castle, the Orlok Castle.
It still exists. It's crazy.
Yeah, it does.
I think that would be cool. The other one for me, the dream one, is to go to the Monroeville Mall to go see the filming for Dawn of the Dead. The film locations for Dawn of the Dead. And Not Living Dead. They have the original cemetery still up too. Well, it's a cemetery. It's not moving anywhere. Not without some major planning. I think that's a life goal. Go to Europe at least once. Be kind of cool. I remember hearing about, like listening to some metal bands and hearing about the Carpathian Mountains, and I'm like, I didn't know that was a real thing. I thought it was like all like folklore, and it's like, no, the like Transylvania and the Carpathian Mountains and stuff are real. Like, oh my god.
What happened to hospitality, Nero?
I don't know, man.
When you check into a hotel, you gotta search for somebody to help you. these people were waiting for him,
and they won't even help you. They won't even help you without a $20 bill in your hand.
With a drink already.
He's got a booze. Like, damn. Okay, so this version has his name is Count Orlok.
Yeah, this guy must be like the worst. Like the worst guy to have to wait on a table. I like he said Orlok, and everyone was like,
"Yep, that's a name we don't say here, sir. That name is blacklisted."
Just like we put Steam to rest.
I feel so bad, dude.
Yeah, I'm sorry, bro.
It's okay. It's
just Steam. We tried.
For the majority of the matches, the connection was fine. It was just the lobbies that killed it. It was the lobbies that killed it, which is a bummer. But shout out to Digital Clips. Yeah.
Digital Clips. Tweet them.
That's why I haven't bought the Samurai Showdown collection. They did it, and I'm like, I can't do it, dude. I want it, but I can't do it. So
I'm guessing that this coyote, or I have no idea what jackal is that. I don't know what.
Could be a hyena. You never know.
Hyena? That was a hyena. Okay.
Maybe.
So is the hyena supposed to be Orlok? Is that why the horses were shying away? Or
I believe so. I think it's
random animals.
It's heavily implied that it's him. I think.
Okay.
Dude, look at that bed. That thing's hype.
Yeah, why is that bed so high?
I don't know.
I wonder.
It was homemade, most likely.
Yeah, but why would you make a bed that tall?
If I could, I would. Yeah, I think it's implied that it's him for that hyena right there.
These women are freaking out.
They're like, nah, not good, man.
Yeah, but Orlok, that hyena looks so cute, though. Doesn't look scary at all.
It's a cute pupper. terrible ghost magic and the 7 deadly sins. Did you ever have that phase, Mutant, where you're like into like occult reading and like books about monsters and ghosts and things?
Oh yeah, I went through that phase when I was a kid.
Oh yeah.
True story. I don't know if I told the story on my stream before, but so in 5th grade, we had this period where you could bring in any book you wanted and you could read for that entire period. And so I borrowed The Exorcist.
Nice. How old were you?
William Peter Blatty.
Yeah, how old were you at this time?
I was. How old are you when you're in 5th grade? Like
10?
10?
11 or something like that? I'm not sure. I don't know. It's been a long time since I've been in 5th grade.
But by the time I was 12, I had read all of the Stephen King novels up until that point, obviously.
Nice. That's actually really cool.
Yeah, I was really into like horror literature, horror novels.
I was the Goosebumps kid. I had every single Goosebumps book, and I bought them in order. So every time they were numbered, so I bought number 3 on accident first. And I was like, nope, this isn't gonna do. I went and bought number 1, then I ordered 2, then I bought 3, 4, 5. Like I think I went all the way up to like number 55 before I stopped buying them.
Dude, this guy looks like how I look like this morning. That good sleep.
That good sleep. Thanks to my new bed, I've been getting the good sleep. Thank God.
Okay, so clearly this guy does not believe in any of this.
Oh yeah, you think it's hogwash, you know. That's an interesting way to use that outfit.
Okay, so I think they're on their way to Castle Orlok.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Why did this guy's outfit remind me of Gojo's?
Well, I think Araki did base some of his designs on that kind of look.
Yeah, right.
Also, you gotta remember, they could only film during the day. There's no nighttime shooting at this, because there's no lighting equipment back then. There was no way to light anything. So everything's done in broad daylight. So they had a fake... They still do that. They still sometimes film day for night. But it's done badly. It draws me out of the movie. That happened in 28 Weeks Later. There's several scenes you can clearly tell it's daytime, but they're pretending it's nighttime, and it just looked really bad. And I was like, oh, it just took me out of the movie completely. We're not going any further. Yeah, so this print has his name is Count Orlok. Other versions have it just straight up as Dracula. They didn't change it, but some of them did for the American releases, so they could avoid that lawsuit, but it didn't help.
I like how Harker is just like, you guys are silly.
I know, it's like, oh, dumb villagers, they don't know anything better. Superstitious, you know. Yeah. Very classic. Very American Werewolf in London.
Yeah. Well, I mean, since we're on the topic of the villagers, we'll go ahead and get this out of the way now. But one of the more controversial readings of Nosferatu is that Nosferatu is interpreted by a lot of critics as a film that has a very, I guess, unconscious or subconscious racist undertones.
Oh yeah, I can see that.
Obviously, Orlok and the vampires. This myth emerges from Eastern Europe, and the idea that Harker is, obviously the foil to Orlok, and the fact that Orlok wants to, yeah, that's creepy.
Yeah, look at that. Look at
the fact
that.
that Orlok wants to, go to England or Germany or wherever it's set, and kind of put stakes, no pun intended, put stakes on the ground there.
Yeah.
This sort of fear, in that was prevalent during Weimar Germany. This fear of sort of invasion, but through sort of kind of through disease and through ethnic mixing, stuff like that. And these are all these fears that would obviously bubble over, and would in many ways lead to the rise of the Nazi Party. And so, this is a very kind of, it's like we were saying earlier, that kind of makes the movie, to me, even more relevant in today's day and age. And we're still, because not only are we dealing with a pandemic, not only are we dealing with widespread xenophobia. I mean, this is, it's funny how a movie, like you were saying here, over 100 years old, can still be as relevant.
It'll still be relevant. I mean, let's look at Orlok's design. Yeah. Like, the man is designed to look like a rat, and the rat was the probable cause of the Spanish flu. And it's the most common animal associated with disease. Yeah,
and to associate rats with Orlok or these Eastern Europeans.
Yeah,
it makes it even it makes that reading seem even more plausible.
Exactly.
Oh my God!
Look at him! Look at the way he walks. It's so creepy.
One of the things also, he's so skinny.
Yeah, that too.
I have never been that skinny in my entire life.
I've never been skinny in my entire life. So, you know how that goes.
I've had my bouts of skinniness, but for the most part, I grew up as a fat kid.
Yeah, same here. So it's fine. It's fine. No, but just that image alone, just him standing there.
Yeah, you just his the shape of him,
Oh yeah, it's so different.
And the skippy frame rate, makes him even creepier. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah,
makes it even more inhuman.
That's one of my favorite editing tricks that you can do in a movie, where you have somebody performing an action, like a very dangerous action. If you skip the frame just proper, say the character's 5 feet away with you. Robert Rodriguez is really good at this. If you look at Planet Terror, he has characters move in advance, but then he skips the frame so they look like they moved even faster, and it makes it even creepier to see oh god, this dude's got a dentist drill at my eye, and it took 3 frames for it to come right next to me. I'm that's pretty cool. I always love that editing technique.
Orlok's got pretty good eyesight.
Oh, for sure.
Spectacles or nothing. And who cuts bread this way?
I don't know.
You cut away from you, Parker, not towards you. Didn't your mom ever teach you how to use a knife, Parker?
Well, when you're a dumb kid, he looks really young.
I like these Stargate symbols that are on the page right here.
Stargate, Jesus Christ, dude.
Just symbols and shit.
God, I never understood Stargate. I never did.
So did he really cut himself?
No, I don't think so. There's a wipe away effect. So he didn't cut himself for the movie. Thank God. They did that to the poor girl in Texas Chainsaw Massacre, where they legit cut her.
I'm telling you, Nero, there are only 2, and there are a lot of scary. Well, not scary, but there are a lot of very well done, sort of creatures and characters, that are really well presented with makeup and costuming and stuff. But if we're gonna get right down to it, in terms of just scaring the shit out of me, there's really only two characters that have ever really just been scared of, and that's Nosferatu and Reagan from the first Exorcist.
Really?
That's the only 2. I have never been scared of any other creature, whether it was Chucky or a monster or something.
Yeah.
It's Nosferatu, right? It's Linda Blair.
Yeah.
That's Shrek.
That's crazy. One of my favorite memories is my mom, when I was maybe probably 8 or 9. We had gone to when there was a place called Blockbuster Music, if you remember that, when it was like a thing. If that was a thing. We had gone, and they had just re-released the Universal Monster movies on VHS, like this new set that came out, right? And we had bought Frankenstein as a gift for my mom. My dad had told us she really likes this movie, and she told us when we were watching it that she as a kid was legit scared of the Frankenstein monster underneath the white sheets when you see only his hand. And we always like would joke at her about that. It's like, look, oh, it's so creepy, you know. And when we bought the movie again for her as a birthday gift as a Christmas gift. Our Christmas gifts are horror movies in my family, and we bought it again for her on DVD. And she again was like telling us as that scene came up, it's like it still scared the living shit out of her to see just him underneath the white sheets and his body frame, you know. It was creepy. For me, the things that scared me legitimately as a child, because there were 3 of them, and I was watching horror movies way too young. I shouldn't have been watching them. I was like watching them like 6, 7 years old.
Yeah, me too.
And it was Leatherface, The Tall Man, and Candyman were the 3 that got me. Especially Candyman, because Candyman was so modern, you know. Like, it was like you could go outside and see a man that looked like Tony Todd if you went out looking hard enough, you know. And that scared the hell out of me when I was a kid. Like, Chainsaw Massacre and Phantasm were 70s films, so there was a little bit of dissonance there. There was a distance between, like, you know, relating to that kind of person, because you could tell that, even as a kid, I could tell it's like they don't dress like how people dress like nowadays. But Candyman dressed like a person that you could see walking down the street in the right neighborhood in Houston, and it scared me as like crazy as a kid. I'm like, ooh.
This shot reminds me of a recent movie that came out, and you might have watched it, Nero. It's called A Cure for Wellness.
Oh, I've heard good things about it. I haven't seen that yet.
So it's set in kind of like in the mountains somewhere in Europe. I forgot, but it's set in this, you know, there's this just most of the movie takes place on this sort of castle, medieval castle on top of like a mountain, and it's just pretty breathtaking.
If you ever see,
that kind of reminds me of that.
If you ever want to watch like a good B vampire film that looks very similar to this, look up the Subspecies series, and oh god, it's literally filmed in Transylvania because it was cheap to film there, so they had access to all the castles still, and it's just straight B movie, 80s horror movie, and I love it to death. It's a really good series. Do you prefer your movies?
I really like this effect here. You know, the shadows of the sky and the forest.
Yeah,
the high contrast.
That's that sepia tone to that purple. The purple to represent nighttime. You know. Do you prefer your black and white movies to be black and white, or do you prefer the sepia tone?
I don't care.
You don't care?
Because I'm colorblind. So.
Oh, that's true. I forgot about that. Oh no, he saw her.
Like, the thing about this movie, like, if there's like one critique I have about this movie, is that whenever Orlok's not in the movie for very long. I think he's in the movie for
9 minutes,
like maybe 10 minutes.
9 to 10 minutes, yeah.
Yeah. But whenever he's on the screen, he's the only thing you can look at. At least that's for me, right?
Yeah.
Like, he is the only thing you can look at.
Your wife has a beautiful neck. Jesus Christ. That is not in that translation. You know that for sure. That was Americanized Sawhill.
Like, he's so distracting that, like, sometimes I'll just like lose my lose my train of thought or lose track of the movie because I'm just looking at
him. Yeah, he becomes such a central point. Yeah, he's like so creepy looking.
Dude, if this dude knocked on your door, dude, and you opened the door, dude, what would you do?
I don't know, man. It's crazy. Like similar.
Orlock, come right in. You want to play some Third Strike?
Let's play some Third Strike, Orlock. Come on, homie. It'll be fun. God, the Third Strike vampire strikes again.
During the night, Nosferatu clutches his victim and sucks their blood like a gruesome, life-saving drink.
Is this your favorite Dracula? Like, of all the depictions of Dracula, or vampires in general.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like, are we? Because I'm a really big fan of Dusk Till Dawn.
Yeah,
like,
that's a great
really
movie.
Big fan of that movie. You know, it's like, because you know, with Nosferatu, it's still a silent film, right?
Yeah.
And that's just, look at him. Oh my, what?
Just standing there. Look at that. You're like, what the fuck you doing? I'm at my door.
There aren't any locks on that door.
Ain't no lock whatsoever. You're stuck there for a little while, homie. I'd push that bed right against that door.
And of course, you know, a ravine,
Yeah.
water dripping down on a mountain. Very romantic.
Oh no.
Yeah.
There's the classic shot.
He looks like an alien. Like, that's just
Very stilted shot.
yeah. That's gonna help you.
Yeah, aren't you gonna fight back, dude?
But look how slender he is. Look how, like, that body shape.
What do you think?
I don't understand, like, how his body is even shaped that way.
What do you think the idea for, like, one of the main inspiration for Slender Man came from?
Yeah.
You know, Slender Man nowadays is more of a joke, but when it came out, it was like people were legit scared of that thing. And the idea of a tall, slender figure dates back to this movie. You know, the tall man, the Men in Black, like the actual Men in Black, not the movie. But like you were saying, like, Dusk Till Dawn is a very classic representation of vampires. I'm very partial to The Lost Boys. The Lost Boys is probably my favorite vampire movie.
Yeah, that's a really good movie too. Yeah.
That's like the heavy metal punk rock vampire movie, you know? Dusk Till Dawn is like the sleazy, like, mariachi vampires, you know? I was never a fan of Fright Night. Fright Night was just not my thing. A lot of people think I assume I love it, but I'm like, nope, wasn't my thing. It's a very common trope later, where like the kind of like psychic link of what's going on between them.
Yeesh.
Just look at that, dude. It's so creepy. And he just walks away.
Wow. Seriously, if you were laying in bed and your eyes and you saw this guy at the foot of your bed, I think I would faint. I think I would just, yeah, like I would just do it. You know, Ellen, quote unquote Ellen, did, right?
Yeah.
AKA Nina.
They did a lot of like name swapping during the Hammer films. I think Mina became Nina, and then like I forget the other girl's name. They switched the names around. They switched the couples around. They did a lot of that in the Hammer films. Like the Satanic Rites of Dracula is probably one of my favorite Hammer film versions of it. It's an unknown illness. Back in the 20s, you know, they solved that with all kinds of things. Back when hysteria was an actual condition for women, apparently.
And again, like we were talking about earlier, this is in the wake of the Spanish flu, which just, you know,
that devastated
the paranoia and the fear of disease and corruption. These biological monsters at an all-time high.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so it's not the bed. Well, that's Orlok's bed. That's the bed. Why aren't the beds elevated like that?
I don't know, dude. It's really cool. This is just a massive castle, you know.
Oh, don't open that.
Cue bloody tears from Castlevania right now.
Don't open that.
Someone needs to do that. Someone needs to take this movie and then just put all the Castlevania soundtracks in it. That's an iconic shot. It's like, no way am I doing that. My problem is, why come down there if you don't have any reason to fight? Or a way to fight? You need to do something, dude.
Just the idea of laying in a casket inside a car. Would you do that, Nero?
I would do it. Be cool.
I don't know, man. That's kind of creepy for me.
Be Undertaker. I mean, Undertaker did it for his career. They had I remember the one match they had caskets lined up of all the people he beat.
So look at Orlok, man. He doesn't have day labor.
Well, he's got.
Look at this.
Yeah.
This guy's. Yeesh. and he was able to put himself
in the fucking coffin.
Like no, Count Orlok is.
That's crazy.
He was able to place himself in the coffin and then somehow order the horses to ride away.
That's crazy. It's like, I need to book it, homie.
I mean, that's some. What's he doing? A Rumpelstiltskin?
Yep. It's time to get out of here, homie.
Made sure to get dressed in his JoJo Bizarre Adventure clothes.
His hat and everything.
Son of a bitch!
JoJo. I will not go into detail about how I don't like that show here.
You don't like JoJo?
No, I do not like JoJo.
Wow, that hat stayed on too. Yeesh.
Oh yeah. It's got to do something, man. The creepy load. The creepy load.
Maybe that's what we should call the podcast. Nero.
The creepy load.
The creepy load with Nero and MutantXp.
I'd be down for that.
The creepy load.
Oh yeah, anybody watching, we could use a new name for this because I'm planning to make this a thing, or at least do something like this similar. Although I don't want to bite off Vinkabot style that much, so.
Well, I think we should maybe do what we did before, right? Just kind of have a topic to talk about.
Yeah, we can do that.
We don't have to do this all the time. We can just, we could do movie companions and stuff.
Yeah, that's for sure. Coffins.
I'm pretty sure we could do like movie companions as long as we don't show the actual movie.
Yeah, I've seen that. People will upload their audio while we watch a movie in the background. You know, and that do commentaries. I've seen several channels do that.
Okay.
I'd be down for that. I wonder if it's still named the Demeter. The ship. It's like, come on, guys, let's load this up. Time to go to England.
Rats.
Again, bringers of disease. One of my favorite little anecdotes, if you watched 28 Days Later, there's that moment where they're stuck in the underground tunnel, and then they're trying to change the tire, and all the rats come running from the infected. Danny Boyle got a letter from Marsupial Monthly complaining that they once again perpetuated the negative connotation of rats being horrible creatures, because apparently there's a magazine out there for rat pet owners, which is like, that's pretty cool.
So you had mentioned the name of the ship, Nero, and that reminded me. You know what the word Demeter translates into, right?
No, I don't.
It translates into Mother Earth. Demeter means Mother Earth. Which is really interesting when you think about it, right? Like, why would Orlok's ship, where he's carrying these rats that are going to infect England, why is he on a ship called Mother Earth? Kind of.
Yeah.
Something to chew on, guys.
That makes sense.
I really wish I could grow one of those mustaches. You know? I wish I could grow facial hair. Period. I can't. I can only manage, these like Shang Tsung whiskers. I really wish I could have like a mustache like that policeman.
Me and my beard is still growing. I need to cut my beard down.
If I could grow facial hair, I would always have a curly mustache.
I wish mine would curl. It doesn't curl. I just have like the big walrus type, you know. Oh, is this Renfield?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, this is the character. Cool. That character's been played by a lot of good actors. Dwight Fry was in Dracula, the 30s Bela Lugosi version. And then Tom Waits was Renfield in the Francis Ford Coppola one, which is great.
That's not social distancing.
Not at all. Back away, homie. It must be weird making a vampire movie in the social distancing era, you know? That'd be kind of cool.
This pseudoscience.
Science was tough back then. It must have been.
Is it me, or does Renfield here look like Lemony Snicket, or what is his name? What is that?
Yeah, Lemony Snicket. Yeah.
Doesn't he kind of look like him?
Kind of, yeah.
What are these spiders?
Reminds me of Dracula Dead and Loving It. which is one of my favorite Liam Neeson movies ever of all time.
Like, this does not look cheery. Like, under normal circumstances, that would be a very picturesque setting, except for all the crucifix that are
just buried in the ground.
Yeah, wow.
That's a creepy image, though. I'll give it that.
Yeah. This is like the creepiest beach ever.
I know.
This looks like the cliff that, you know, at the end of the movie The Good Son.
Oh, God. Or what's that famous one? I think it's called 12 and a Half, where, like, you know, Death and a guy are playing chess on the beach. Very similar look to that. He's like, I'm fine. No social distance.
It looks like he's been brave.
Yep.
Those bloodshot eyes when you go to a Denny's or an IHOP.
I was just at Denny's earlier today.
Man, I miss Denny's, man. We don't really have Denny's here in New York. We have
Really?
some during the day. Yeah.
That's crazy.
But dude, I'm originally from Southern California though, so I grew up on that Denny's. That Denny's.
There's one right down the street from me. It's pretty good.
Man, that meat lover skillet. No, tried and true. You know what they say, right? If it ain't broke.
Yeah, true.
I always get the meat lover skillet and then some biscuits and gravy. Oh.
I had a mighty need for pancakes today, so I went and got pancakes.
Pancakes at Denny's are solid.
They're solid, not bad.
You know what's actually I like a lot are the omelets at IHOP.
Dude,
I think
those
the
are legit.
Pancakes at IHOP are ass. Okay, I know it might be a hot take, but I think pancakes at IHOP are like really bad.
Yeah.
But I go to IHOP for the for the omelets. The omelets are so good. Anyway, back to the movie here.
For Castlevania vibes.
Why would you make your horse like? You're such a terrible horse owner, or whatever you call it.
Dude, animals in film. Way back then, they were treated so poorly. It was so bad.
Let's not even get into that.
It wasn't until like the 60s where they started regulating that. I'm like, Jesus. Like the horse.
Shot. I really like this shot. It has just this weird depth to it. It gives it almost like a 3D look, you know?
Yeah.
See? Isn't it weird?
It was good it's like good foreground and background movement. It's really cool.
You know, you ever laid in a really nice hammock? Oh man.
Hammocks and fat people don't mix. Like, I'm sorry, I can't do it, dude. I can't do it. I can't do hammocks. I can't do those like kind of like flimsy, like, you know, lawn chair, like, you know, the ones you fold out. Like, nah,
they can support your weight, can't they? I mean,
I don't trust it. I don't like. I'd rather not risk it. Then we get stuck.
I respect it. Gotta stay safe.
Oh, here we go.
Special effects.
I know. It's such a subtle one too. Just have him right there.
And like laying in a hammock is probably the worst thing you could lay on if there's like a vampire.
Oh yeah, exactly. You're gonna get stuck so bad. There's no like, you know, leaping out of that easily.
Yeah, you can't just like leap out of the hammock. There is no leaping out of the hammock. It's always very ungraceful. Yeah, see, look at the words: epidemic, infected.
Exactly. Getting buried at sea. Damn, look at those mutton chops. Those sideburns need to be trimmed, homie.
That's the quarantine look.
Time to crack this shit open. Rats!
Literally and figuratively.
Exactly. There it goes.
Oh my god.
We need a Venkabot. Oh my god!
Look at this guy's face.
I know, dude. That is like not what you want to see in the middle of the ocean.
This guy actually kind of looks like a wolf man.
Yeah. He's like, I'm done. Fuck this.
I'll swim.
He's like, I gotta go save his punk ass.
And this is one of, and this is really awesome because the thing about like Count Orlok here is that he's so scary during, like, I would say he's even scarier during the day.
Yeah.
Right? He's even scarier during the day than he is at night.
That's an aspect that people don't really use a lot. That like horror in daylight, horror in broad daylight. It's like something that you
kind of like Halloween, right? In those first few scenes.
Yeah.
Michael Myers following.
Or Chainsaw Massacre, where they it's middle of the day when he attacks everybody, like, and kidnaps them.
Or the original The Hills That Have Eyes.
The Hills Have Eyes, yeah, just straight up.
Children of the Corn.
Children of the Corn as well.
Yeah, let's bring back scary daylight movies. You know, I kind of want to make this point before I forget it, Nero.
Yeah.
You know, but to me, you know, really the ultimate irony of this film is that obviously, you know, when film came out, there were obviously people that were, not fond of the genre, not fond of this, sort of style of storytelling.
Yeah.
And it's in many ways, film at this period was sort of offering people an alternative way, to tell stories, right?
Yeah.
And obviously the way that you used to tell stories was through literature.
Yeah.
And so to me, the ultimate irony about the film is that, it's the film itself is a vampire, right?
Yeah.
Because what is it doing? It's sort of sucking the life of, or taking the life from Dracula, from a work of literature.
Yeah.
And then obviously we already talked before about how, the wife of Bram Stoker is very protective of the intellectual property of her husband's intellectual property. And so it's just kind of, to me, that's like sort of the ultimate irony, right? That the film itself is a vampire.
Yeah. It's pretty cool. And what was I gonna say? It's crazy because when film first came out, it was so despised by people in the Broadway or theater industry that famously, like, if you go look at early Hong Kong cinema, most of the action stars are women because they were considered the only people lowly enough to be able to perform in movies, at the time. And like the early stars of cinema in certain countries were women because they were considered so low class, and it's such a low class genre of entertainment at that point. But then as time goes by, you see how important it becomes, and like this is the time where like movies were playing for like 10 cents a pop, but 10 cents was a lot of money back then. And that was how you would just spend an afternoon, go to the movies and watch movies all day. And when people realize that you can be seen by so many people in so many ways, because it's not like today where like a movie gets released internationally everywhere at one time. It was like movies were put out in certain regions over the courses of months. The prince would travel. A very iconic shot here. Just him. Just remember that though. It's literally just earpieces and a nose piece, and that's him. That's literally just his face for the most part. Oh, there goes Renfield. I think it's implied there that he murdered him.
The goddamn
soil in which they had been buried.
Soil.
See, the main problem and issue with the version. God damn, he's carrying his coffin with him like nothing like else.
That's what I'm saying. Like he's
so strong, and he's so strong.
Like that can't be like, maybe it's a prop, but like damn.
Damn, no, right?
Like,
yeah. The problem with these public domain horror films now is that there are so many versions that you can't trust which was like the properly translated, the properly there are some people that really respected the movie and tried their best to create it as original as possible, and then there are companies who's like, we got the rights to Nosferatu, just throw it on a DVD somewhere and just dump it, so it's really hard to find these really authentic versions of the movie. So I'm pretty sure that they did not use the word goddamn soil in the original version.
Well, I mean, it's a translation, so maybe that's what they meant. They meant like cursed soil or something.
Could be.
How he's sort of doing this, right? And there's nobody that notices him. You know what I mean?
I know.
Some dude just walking, carrying his casket. Look at this. This guy must have.
In broad daylight. Or
like a horse or nothing. He just decided he'd walk. This guy just wanted to familiarize himself with the city. His new home.
I know, right?
That ugly wallpaper again.
And this kind of starts the trope of like, the woman in the movie not really being much use in the movie. She's clearly the victim, which is such a it's a weird trope. Yeah.
That's just what?
Look at him run! Run with a casket in his hand. That man dashed across the field.
Yo, this is the property that Orlok bought? Man, he got ripped off. This is not... Man, Orlok's pissed right now.
He's like, this is a shithole I bought? God damn.
I know, right? I bet the ad said full of potential. Full of potential.
Has character.
Yeah.
Has charm. Rustic charm.
Rustic charm. I like it. Rustic charm.
Dude, if it was modern times, I would fucking love a shithole place I could build my own stuff in.
It's funny. Rustic charm. Yeah. Dracula saw that and like, that's the one.
Like, poor dude. You ever heard of the story of the Mary Celeste?
No, what is that?
So, the Mary Celeste is the famous story of a boat called the Mary Celeste that washed up ashore. And when, I forget which shore, I'm not 100% of the details, but it's a 100% true story. That the boat washed up on shore, people went to investigate it, and there was nobody on the boat. But there was signs of life on the boat. There was a lit cigarette on the boat. There was like meat cooking on the stove inside of the boat. But there was nobody on it. The entire crew or passengers on the boat had just disappeared. And it was the creepiest thing that people were just like, what the hell happened? This boat just showed up and there's nobody here. There was no identifying factors for who would be on it. It was just a boat that someone was clearly on, and they vanished.
That story sounds familiar. I think I've heard that.
It's referenced in the Night of the Living Dead remake, the 1990 remake, when Barbara walks into the house and there's literally food still cooking on the stove, and they wrote the Mary Celeste as like a name somewhere on a plaque somewhere inside the house, and it's like oh, it directly references that. It's like this boat just showed up and there was nobody there. Like they said they found like warm coffee on the dinner table inside the boat, which is crazy. SSW window. Mate's acting insane. An unknown passenger is under deck.
Man, all this facial hair is making me jealous.
I can pull that off. Plague threats. See, there you go. Plague threat. They were worried about the plague on the ship.
Yep. Quarantine.
Yep, there goes. There was the quarantine. That was serious business back then. It's serious business now. Shit.
That's all I was about to say. It almost sounded a little like Final Fantasy music.
Yep, time to stay inside, guys. It literally just took a decree and everybody went inside. So much easier back then.
Yeah, right? Look at this. See?
Didn't have Alex Jones back then.
Oh, no, Nero.
Dude, you know what I found out? Do you know there were anti-vaxxers in the 1800s?
I bet there were.
There were people that did not believe that the fact that germs existed.
Yeah.
It was crazy. I'm like, I found that out about I was listening to a podcast about the early days of lobotomies, and they were talking about how people were just like deathly afraid of things, and medical science was witchcraft and all this other kind of stuff, and there were people that generally did not believe germs existed. Wow. I'm like, Jesus, it's been around forever.
No wonder people went blind.
I know, right? That is a creepy building. You gotta admit that.
Yeah, it is.
It's a very iconic bedroom. I've seen that's a very scene that's been shown a lot. Oh no. I love the use of purple and sepia tone to like represent light and dark. They did a good job on this print. That's a creepy image. Just an empty street with people carrying coffins.
Yeah, that procession.
Yeah, that's just a creepy image. Knock. String of the god. God, it's so creepy how this correlates today. Like, you know, people being quarantined and then rumors starting.
Yeah, right? It's eerily relevant.
It's so creepy. They're just looking.
There goes the social distancing.
Yep. That's a creepy ass image. He's just up there just sitting.
How did he even get up there?
I don't know. That is crazy. That is very Lemony Snicket, like you said. That look.
Yeah.
It's an interesting shot. You saw the little toy.
I always forget how much action is in this movie.
Yeah. Oh, it's a scarecrow. They every movie afterwards took the crowd of villagers chasing after the monster from this. I think Caligari probably did it beforehand, though, I believe.
No, don't open that window.
Don't open the curtains!
What's so great about Shrek's acting is, like, he looks so, like, eerily vulnerable there, right?
Yeah.
Like, because he sees Ellen, aka Nina, there, and like he wants her so bad, and you can even like see in his face, right?
Yeah.
Like the desperation, sense of desperation, right? Look at that.
Almost makes him sympathetic.
Almost.
Not quite, but almost. Oh no. There goes the window.
There it is. Let it in.
Nice. Oh no.
Another very iconic shot.
Very iconic shot, yeah. The shadow. That one as well, with the hand. This right here struck me as a kid. I remember seeing this shot and was like, what the hell? That's so good.
Wake up, Van Helsing.
Where's Hugh Jackman when you need him? He's all slow and shit, taking off his coat. Your girl's getting eat on.
A little too late there. Uh-oh. You know what that means.
Oh no. And there it is.
Master.
God. Metallica's still the best.
Where are you going, man? Let him climb. I hurt nobody.
Oh no.
A little flaming
Yeah, I know, right?
there.
See, and this is the movie that started the whole vampires are afraid of or killed by sunlight. It's not in the Stoker novel. He's weakened he becomes weaker in the daylight, but he can walk around in daylight. Oh no. Very, very cool.
That was that.
That was that.
Wow.
That's a good version.
Yeah, it was pretty clean. The music was inoffensive.
Yeah, very much so.
Which is always a sticking point for me whenever.
Yeah, if a movie has like very like out of place.
And so yeah. So what are some of your takeaways from Nosferatu watching it this most recent
time? It's been a long minute since I've actually sat down and watched it, and it's really good. It's a classic of the genre, obviously. You know, and like you said, it's crazy how it correlates to today in the most subtle way possible, but it does. And it's such a good it's just a classic of the genre. There's no much. There would not be horror films without Nosferatu and Cabinet of Caligari.
Yeah, definitely.
Those have to be like featured 100% as like the history of horror. They start there.
Yeah, like you said, it's seems eerily relevant to what we're dealing with today. Obviously, just this desire to want to personify your fears, right?
Yeah.
And so obviously the vampire Dracula character, that sort of personification of fears that were sort of unique to a particular era and a particular people, but also at the same time very universal, right? That fear of sickness, that fear of
the other,
and corruption.
Yeah, the fear of the other.
The fear of the other. And so yeah, I'm glad that we watch it one more time. I'm sure this is gonna be the last time. But, that was fun, man.
Yeah, for sure. We'll do this more often. I think next week we'll do, if you're down for it, for another Sunday. We can pick a topic and then just discuss, and then maybe pick another movie for the next week after. That we can figure something else out. Maybe get some advice from a few other people about what movie to watch. Be pretty cool. Definitely. And I would definitely try to make sure to put this on YouTube somewhere so it'll be saved. So
great. Yeah, so awesome. So I guess we'll just end this particular segment of the. Are you gonna be streaming anything?
Yeah, you should be good. All right, guys. Well, I'm gonna let some music play, and then we'll go ahead and cut the stream off tonight. Thank you guys for watching. I may be on later with some Fight K2. We'll see if I'm up for it. But thank you very much, Mutant, for hanging out with me.
Thank you so much, Nero, for inviting me.
Not a problem, sir. Good stuff.